Folks, let's go European history notes. I mean, look, the last test, you guys smashed it, with every single one of you guys. I mean, our average was distinguished, so we're doing very good. Let's smash it again with this European history video. Make sure you watch it a couple of times before the test. I'm making this for you, so make sure you're studying and make sure you're ready. So let's go ahead and start. We're going to start with our history timeline. But of course, this is a full timeline. So after we're done with the test, and if you want to go back to this timeline, we're actually going to start in 1933. And then we're going to begin with 1939, World War II, of course, when we come back from the DLD on Monday. But with this, just make sure we know from World War I all the way to Nazi Hitler taking control of Germany and the Holocaust. So let's go ahead and, start by diving into specific. This video is going to deal with overview. There's going to be some discussion. You can read the article. But when it comes to actual test taking strategy video, I will post that again. I'm not sure when. We're still making a test, but after we're done making the test, we're going to go ahead the test review video. All right, so let's go ahead and start with our Russian Revolution. Of course, this says 1917, but we're going to go prior to the first Russian Revolution in 1905. So let's start. So, the setting of Russia. Let's think about how Russia was during this time, prior to 1905. People are struggling. There's famine going on, like everyone is struggling at this time. While people are struggling, the king, Tsar Nicholas II, he is living the lavish lifestyle. He's rich, he's partying every time, he's going out of Russia, he's enjoying his time, partying with his friend while his people were dying. And this incompetent king kept sending people in war where they're going to get whooped. Went to war with, of course, Japan, lost. Everyone at this time was questioning the king, like, okay, first of all, I know this dude said, oh, I am a king because God chose me as a king, but now he's talking about sending us to war, we don't even have food, and we're all dying. So guys, we need to understand at this time there was two class of people: people that were very rich and people that were very poor and no power. Of course, 1905, people are fed up. People march to the street talking about, let's make change. Let's make change. But the unfortunate thing is, the king said, all that little noise, cut it out and go kill them all. So, of course, the evening, the horrible accident, or we should say a horrible incident that happened where Tsar Nicholas II sent the people, of course, sent the soldiers to kill thousands of people in the street. And that event was called the Bloody Sunday. Now, 1914, Russia entered World War One. Tsar Nicholas II sent the peasants to fight with no training and no supply. Millions of people died at this time. Of course, 1917, peasants and workers started saying, yeah, we had enough. You killed us in Bloody Sunday. Now you're killing us in the war. It's almost as if we're going out there to die in the war, but we're still dying inside of your country. We do not want your power. We do not want your leadership. We need change. So people, of course, marched up, and Tsar Nicholas, quote unquote, gave up the throne. Now, 1917, Vladimir Lenin and the Bolshevik, which we know Bolshevik, we learned communism, took over the government and had Tsar Nicholas II and his entire bloodline executed. So at this time, Vladimir Lenin, the big forehead megamind, as you guys saw, he came up and said, yes, we're going to give all of you guys changes. You guys had no food, you guys had no job, you guys had no property. Guess what? Everything is going to change at this time. Vladimir Lenin said, we're going to make this country, first of all, from Russia to, we're going to change the name to Soviet Union. So Vladimir Lenin created Soviet Union. And he says, I am going to put this economic system called communism to Russia, which is going to promise, he's going to promise, again, that's a keyword. He promised equality for all Russian. But the thing is, reality of communism is cute. Everyone is going to win, everyone is going to share equally. But we talked about this in class and we asked and we questioned this equality together. Is it really equal if little Jimmy takes a test and everybody get the same score? Everyone was like, no, little Jimmy is goofball. Like, he barely pays attention. You guys started, understanding. Although the idea of the communism, the equality seems sweet, that's not how it works in real life. In real life, Lenin just decided, well, I am a dictator, meaning in communism, government is going to take control of everything. No one is owning anything, no private property, no private entity, meaning everything is owned by the government. People life was basically like, wait, so we still don't get to own nothing? That's exactly what happened. So, of course, from Tsar Nicholas II, the king, to another dictator, Vladimir Lenin, the communist diva, that, of course, promised equality for everybody, but it did not happen. We even talked about the current communist country. We talked about North Korea. Whenever you think about communism, think about dictatorship. When you think about dictatorship, you think about autocracy. Again, what is autocracy? When one person rules over all. So, of course, I asked you guys the question, do you guys want to live in North Korea? All y'all said no. So, of course, that's how people in Russia felt again. Now, we're going to, I believe, look at the timeline. So, again, this is a great brief overview. Who? The Bolshevik Vladimir Lenin, Tsar Nicholas II. What? The Bolshevik, led by Vladimir Lenin, overthrew Tsar Nicholas II and brought communism to Russia. Again, communism is a system where they promise equality for everybody, but that was not the case. It happened 1917 all the way to 1919. To be honest, we can't even put, you know, way before 1917, before 1905, all the way to 1919, where Russian citizens did not want to pay tax on the war. They did not want to die in the war, and they effectively stopped Russia participation in World War One. Because after Vladimir Lenin came into power, they actually left World War One. So this is a little reading that if you want to, you can of course go ahead and read this. I am not going to read this so that I can make this video shorter, but please, you can pause if you don't know anything about Russian Revolution. Mom, pops, grandma, grandpa, whoever y'all are next to, make them read this. Make them read this. Let's go ahead and move on. Here's a timeline. Of course, 1884, Tsar Nicholas II becomes the last king of Russia. 1905, Bloody Sunday, where thousands of people march, telling the king, "Yo, we need change, man. This not it. You're over there partying while I'm dying." And then the king, of course, kills them. 1914, Russia goes into World War One. And of course, unfortunately, peasants that never touched military weapon and they genuinely was not eating to start with, they died. Millions of them died. And of course, 1917, Tsar Nicholas II left the throne. 1917, October, Vladimir Lenin and the Bolshevik take over the power, kill the whole bloodline. And 1922, Vladimir Lenin making Soviet Union, and of course, creating his communist government. And of course, we understand communism. Again, I'm saying this so many times, maybe it's important. Again, they talked about communism. They promised equality, but in real life, it wasn't equal. It was equally bad, where everybody was suffering. There was no people, like people did not have right. Everything was owned by the government. So it was equal under the fact that, the government was taking everything. And people did not like that, of course. Russian Revolution summary question. How did World War One help cause the Russian Revolution? So World War One was like the breaking point, right? People went, they died. And of course, people now have a little bit of understanding of weaponry. And people understand we can no longer go into war and die. Now, the Bolshevik and how did they rise to the power? Bolshevik was a group led by Vladimir Lenin. Bolshevik, the majority party, communism. Now, they rose to the power, and of course, Vladimir Lenin killed Tsar Nicholas II, and they won. I mean, let's be honest, we learned this in class. They lost the election and said, it don't count. And then, of course, then Vladimir Lenin basically says, I am the dictator. We're changing the name. So that, of course, feed into number three. Vladimir Lenin was a person that led Russian Revolution, killed Tsar Nicholas II, made a communist country named Soviet Union. He renamed Russia to Soviet Union, installed communism in the country, promising everyone is going to be equal, but in reality, where everyone was not equal. And of course, number four, why was there a rise in communism as a result of Russian Revolution? We talked about this in class. The fact that when you're struggling and you're there about to die, and someone says, hey, we're going to give you guys a great equality, you're going to believe it and you're going to want that because at the end of the day, you are dying in your country, you are dying in a war, and this dude that his face looked like he has a lot in his mind, he has a lot in his mind, and he goes, I will make sure I give equality. People are going to buy into it. And of course, that's going to feed into what we're going to talk about next. Russian Revolution summary question. The Russian Revolution had what effect on World War One? A. It increased the number of Russian troops against Germany. No, 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 no. B. It effectively stopped Russian participation in the world war. Of course, it's that, but let's keep on reading. C. It helped end the war for every nation. Every nation is crazy. No, that did not happen. It provided a place for U.S. troops to fight. No, that did not happen. And guys, another test taking strategy. Whenever they say every, you need to put with like grain of salt. Unless the answer choice is all of the above, that's different. But whenever they talk about for every nation, for everybody, everyone in the country was not like you need to start thinking everyone. Is it actually even possible? Like it's hard for me to get every single one of y'all to watch this video and they said it helped. Yeah, it's not happening. So make sure whenever you're looking at the answer choice that says every, just look at that and say, nah, it's not happening. The correct answer will be B. Let's move on. Treaty of Versailles discussion question. Why was the Treaty of Versailles? When was the treaty put in place? Number two is not important. We're not even going to talk about that. Number three, what was the purpose of treaty? What impact did the treaty have on Germany? Uh, let's read these and then we can go back and have a discussion question. First, of course, Treaty of Versailles was a document that ended World War One. We understand treaty just means document, the document that was signed in Versailles, France. It was signed by the Allied power, United States, France, and Britain, and basically embarrassed Germany. The four terms of treaty was this: Germany had to accept blame for the outbreak of the war. Germany lost 1 million square miles. So basically, Germany lost land and a colony. Third one, Germany had to pay $33 billion, which we understand when we basically calculate that in today's money, it will be about $800 billion. Germany had to limit its armed force and stop production of war material. So again, the four things that they had to agree: one, basically take the blame for the war. Two, take over the land. Three, you need to pay reparation, which $33 billion. Four, no more army. So of course, France wanted Germany punished for starting the war and causing so much destruction in France. So basically, what they said is, we do not want Germany to ever be strong again because Germany, they're kind of a superpower and way too much of a superpower. And also, you guys need to know the political game. If Germany's weak, that's going to make France even bigger. So France wanted Germany to be just a regular poor, I mean, regular poor is crazy, but poor country where they cannot stand up again. United States and UK were concerned that the term was too harsh. They said, I'm not gonna lie, like you're bullying that kid too much. Are you sure? Like this is not gonna backfire? Which we know is going to backfire. So let's go back. Treaty of Versailles. What was the Treaty of Versailles? Treaty of Versailles was a document that was signed to end World War One, and it was there to basically say, Germany, you guys will never rise to power again. I want you at this time say the four terms of treaty, four things Germany had to agree on. One, take a blame for the war. Good. Two, yep, they have to give up land. Three, 33 billion reparation. They had to pay the money back. Number four, no more military. Perfect. Now, of course, I said skim number two. Number three, the purpose of the treaty. We just talked about it. One, to make sure that Germany never rise up to the power again and to punish Germany for basically the war. Now, what impact did the treaty have on Germany? We're going to read that now. But guys, think about this. Germany, people were already struggling because of the war, and now they're telling them all the good lands that you guys had, rich of natural resource, the land that you guys were using to make money, yeah, we're taking that. And you guys have to pay 33 billion, so you guys are in debt now. So now Germany, of course, at this time is struggling. Not only that, the whole world was struggling due to worldwide economic depression. If United States is struggling due to depression, what do you think the loser of the war, Germany, would feel? Exactly. We even saw some pictures of people in Germany, you know, burning money because money was literally worthless. We talked about how, some of those money, bricks of money, you can fill out half of our classroom and afford probably one pair of shoes. That is insane. That is an insane loss of currency. So let's go ahead and talk more about the worldwide depression. I guess a little quick overview of Treaty of Versailles: France, US, UK, Russia, Italy, Germany, of course, all the people that were in war. What? The end of World War One, 1919. The war ended in 1918. 1919, the treaty was signed in Versailles, France, to bring to bring peace. Yeah, right, and make Germany pay for war reparation. We're going to talk about Mustache Man in a second, but we know that did not happen. Worldwide Great Depression, Germany, US, and Europe. Now, United States stock market crashed and European economy went down to dump. 1929 to 1939, the whole world was struggling due to this depression. Now, the Treaty of Versailles caused Germany to pay for the war. And of course, because they did not have any money, and a lot of European country at this time was relying on US, the stock market of the US crashed, meaning the whole Europe economy is going to crash. There's nothing that Europe can do without US at this time. And of course, US is crashing, Europe is going to crash, especially Germany that had to pay reparation. Whew, let's talk about this for a second. We said before we were talking about in Russian point of view where people were mad and they had revolution, and that's why people follow communism because they wanted equality and they followed their leader. And here, what do you think Germans are thinking? Man, all these countries hate us. Europe hate us. US hate us. You know what? We're going to make sure we remember this forever and we're going to fight back. We're going to come back and we're going to show these people that said we got to pay 33 billion and let they're about to see. They're going to see. And oh boy, we did see. Oh boy. Let's go ahead and move on. Worldwide Great Depression. How did the Treaty of Versailles lead to economic problem for Germany? We just talked about it, but the fact that Europe as a whole rely on US economy fall, Europe economy fall, and of course, on top of that, Germany had to pay reparation, 33 billion. They lost the war, they lost their land, which was rich of natural resources. Of course, Treaty of Versailles led to crazy economic problem for Germany. When it comes to worth of Germany currency, we talked about how kids were playing with money. They literally flew a kite with made out of money. Again, instead of why buy a roll of paper? Oh my god, I can't even say it. Why buy a roll of toilet paper when you can just wipe your doodle with your money? Because money is cheaper than roll of paper, which is crazy concept. But the worth of Germany currency was crazy. Where did the Great Depression start and how did it become worldwide? United States. And of course, because everyone rely on United States, it's going to hurt other countries. How did the Great Depression lead to rise of Nazism? The Germans at this time, again, they were thinking, ooh, these people, Americans, these Europeans, they're killing us. We're going to make sure we come back, we spin back, and we're going to make sure the whole world pay. And yes, 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 we do pay. Again, I'll pause real quick. Here's the kids literally putting paper. I mean, it's basically paper, but money into the furnace so that they can keep themselves warm because money is cheaper than buying a timber or anything. Now, I'll go ahead and pause this for a second again. Go ahead and read this in your own time. Now, whew, rise of Nazism. 1889, a little baby was born, Adolf Hitler in Austria. He later then fight in a war in World War One. Now, Germany was forced to sign the Treaty of Versailles, and it angered Hitler and all the German at that time. We read a newspaper from Germany, primary source, and they talked about we will never forget the shame of 1919. We could feel their anger. 1929, Germany economic depression get way worse because of the United States stock market crash. The depression not only was in Germany, but at this time was in worldwide. Now, people are looking for a strong leader, a leader that can turn Germany upside down. At this time, Hitler, this dude was a talker. He was one of the greatest yapper in the history. He decides to, of course, blame the Jews and blame a lot of different organization and people at this time. And Hitler rise to the power. 1932, the Nazi Party wins the majority of the vote in Germany government. And in 1933, Hitler becomes a chancellor of Germany. Now, we're going to talk about chancellor more in the next unit, government, but chancellor is the highest level in the government, equivalent to our president. So, United States, we call it president. For Germany, it's a chancellor. Hitler becomes chancellor and he says, I'm the power. So, since I am the power, I am the dictator now. He takes the total control of Germany. If you spoke out against Hitler, you would not be found the next day. And of course, the government took over, and there was so much propaganda in the street, in the school, everywhere where people were getting brainwashed. Propaganda, again, propaganda means being brainwashed. Propaganda is making people believe certain things. So we're going to talk about this. This video is coming before the Hitler, but we're going to talk about like the Nazi prayers that they used to have. Like they used to brainwash kids that was, of course, very religious. And they would say, oh, you guys can pray all you want. Guess what? No one is going to help your hunger. No one is going to help your starving. No one is going to help you out. Pray to your God all you want. And then they started brainwashing. But guess what? If you pray to our great chancellor Hitler, you'll get food, you get rights. You can be a general. You can be this fancy things. And you saw so much propaganda, like kids in the car smiling with a Nazi symbol, and then people that are dismissing Nazism, of course, struggling. So at this time, Hitler was not only just making people believe that he's a strong leader, like he was legit brainwashing them. If you walk across the street, you would see Hitler's poster everywhere. We're going to look at some posters too, but you're going to look at Hitler basically described as an angel, described as almost god-like figure, someone that is going to make Germany great again. So at this time, Hitler was something that no one was messing with. So, and of course, Hitler at this time was also speaking out against the Jews. We call that anti Semitism. When you are anti, you do not like something. And when you talk about anti Semitism, we're talking about hating against the Jews. Now, Hitler also said everyone that was not pure German, he called it Aryan, people that has blonde hair, blue eyes. You're not pure German, you're not an Aryan, therefore you're not that worth it. You're not worth, you're worthless. Now, 1939, Hitler and the Nazi invade Poland, and oh boy, starts World War II. 1945, Germany is defeated by Allies. Hitler dies, Nazi symbol becomes illegal, and then of course Holocaust. Holocaust was this event where 11 million people died, including 6 million Jews, where Hitler was sending people to concentration camp. And concentration camp simply means you go into this prison where you work until you die. A lot of the kids were separated with their family. Of course, they would never see them again. Who Adolf Hitler, Nazi Party, and the Jews? The Nazi Party rose up to the power under the rule of Adolf Hitler in 1933, where in Germany, people were desperate, they were weak, they needed a stronger power. And this great yapper, Adolf Hitler, decides to come up to the power and say, if you follow me, I am going to give you guys a better future. I'll pause this for a second. Again, you guys can read this. It's about Nazism. When did rise of Nazism occur? 1933, but it's not important. Again, date is not important. It's just more about when did it happen. Why it happened is because, of course, Treaty of Versailles made Germans angry, and they needed a stronger leader. So now, what? Oh, so that was number two. What caused the rise of Nazism in Germany after World War One? After the Treaty of Versailles, people in Germany said, "Whew, all these people hate us. We're going to make Germany a superpower once again." And then, of course, at this time, guys, uh, the thing is, people were nationalistic. What that meant, nationalism. Nationalism means your pride of your country. You're proud of your country. That's nationalism. So number three, what caused the German people to trust in Hitler? Well, he used propaganda. So making people trust in Hitler is kind of a crazy wording there. He forced people to trust in Hitler with propaganda, used radio, poster, and things like that, and made people believe, oh, if I believe in my God, Hitler, he's going to give us food. No, no, he was no God. He was making people suffer, and he was brainwashing people to believe he was the only way out of this. What negative effect came from the rise of Nazism in Germany? Of course, Holocaust, where 11 million people died, 6 million of them being Jewish, but 11 million people dying, going to concentration camp. And also, not only that, we cannot forget about a big boom, World War II. Of course, now Holocaust, Adolf Hitler, Nazi, and the Jew, the genocide of over 6 million Jew, but killing 11 million people from 1941 to 1945. Hitler was upset by war reparation, blamed the Jews, and convinced people to agree. Again, convince is a crazy word. He forced people to agree with them and kill people of course, that they don't agree with them and kill people that are lesser. World War II and the Holocaust, I will pause for a second and you guys can, of course, read this again. Same thing. What was the Holocaust? Holocaust was an event that killed 11 million people, 6 million Jews, where Hitler put people in concentration camp, blamed the Jews, and said, this is not right. People that are not Aryan should, of course, suffer, put them in the concentration camp. When and why did it happen? It happened because what I just explained, where Hitler say, we're going to put people in, of course, punishment for not being Aryan, for Jews were to blame for this, and they basically killed people, and of course, everyone that was disagreeing with the Nazi and the Germans. Now, why were the Jew focus of the Nazi Party? That's who Hitler decided to blame. Number four, the pre-existing prejudice and the use of propaganda impact Holocaust. Again, pre-existing prejudice, we're talking about anti-Semitism. And again, anti-Semitism is talking about the hate against Jews. And the use of propaganda, of course, made people believe, yes, the Jews are bad. And then there was poster basically, supporting that anti-Semitism, saying the Jews are bad, Jews are germ, and all these different stuff that made people believe Jew are that. I hope I didn't yap too much. It was a lot of information, guys. I mean, I just went over what 2 weeks of notes. I don't know how long this video is. Uh Oh, the code for this test. I'm not gonna give y'all too much. Y'all are making me broke. I'll give you one haichu or one candy, depending on which one you want. But the code for this one is 33 million, 33 billion, 33 billion. Tell me 33 billion randomly, and I'll give you either one haichu or one little candy. Thank you for watching the video. And again, I'll make the video for the test taking ASAP whenever we finish up the test. But guys, it's been a great year. Smash the first test. Let's go ahead and smash the second test. Y'all are doing really good, man. You're making not only me proud, but I always say this, be proud of yourself. This is not about me, it's about you. Have a great day and watch this video again and again and again. I'm proud of you. Good work.